All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jade Mindartsma, and today I'm going to be talking about herbal care or alternative medicine. If you turn to page 1, these first few pages are some things that I found here in Texas on a trail that me and the better half take. I just like to go and look and see what I can identify, what I can use, and just in case of SHIT hit the fan situation. Now, snow on the mountain, you can identify it by its leaves. Even if you don't have if it's not flowering, you can still identify it with the leaves and the stem. Kind of grows up, and the leaves kind of grow like up, kind of like in a card, right? I even saw some on the road coming here. Yeah, it was on the right side. So if you're leaving, going back to San Antonio, it will be on your left side. Now, as it says, it's used for milk production in new mothers. But fun fact, this is kind of gross, but if you have an STD with discharge, this will also cure that. So not that anybody here will ever need that, but just in case, you never know. And so what you will do, you can use the leaves and flowers for that, or you can use the leaves for poultice if you have like swelling or you have a wound. So next is wax mallow, or this is also known as Turk's cap. Okay, so if you have an irritated mouth or throat, let's say the smoke of the fire bothers your throat, and you can use it for that. The leaves for inflammation. So if you have a poison ivy, things like that, you can also use the leaves to relieve the itching. Right, you crush them up and use them as a poultice. You can put right on, or you can just like tear the leaves and rub it, or you can go like this with the leaves and get the oils on your hands and rub it on. Now, one thing that a lot of people know, some people don't, if you find, say, poison ivy or poison sumac or whatever, within 10 to 15 feet, you should have the antidote. That's the way God works. It's you find something, but that's why you want to do the things. You want to go on the trails. You want to look and see, oh, what is this plant? I don't even know. You can use Google Lens and take pictures of plants that you don't know, you don't recognize, and you'll find a wealth of information that way. Now, the roots of the wax mallow you can use for a cough. You can use for a wet or a dry cough, as a matter of fact. Now, dry coughs are different from wet. Dry cough means you don't have mucus production, right? A wet cough is with mucus production. So there are things that will, if you are having a dry cough, that means you need to break up the mucus in your lungs. So there are certain plants that are like lobelia are really good for things like that, to help you break up the mucus. Yes, sir.
What do you do with the roots?
Oh, so you can make a tincture out of the roots, or you can make a tea. Okay. So I'll talk to you about teas in a minute. Actually, I should wait for that. Okay, so catalpa. A lot of people love this tree, and after learning about it, I really love this tree because it has so many different uses. So, like every part of this tree is usable, from the beans to the leaves, the flowers, the bark, everything you can use in the catalpa. So, most important, snake bites. When we get a snake bite, what do we do if SHIT hits the fan, right? What will we have a catalpa tree, actually. So you can use the bark, you dry it out and grind it up. A lot of times bark is already pretty dry, so you don't really need to dry it. You just grind it up and use it. You can use it right on the bite, or you can make a tea out of it and ingest it that way. Or you can make a tea and pour it on the snake bite. And you can use it for if you have sometimes you get strep throat or any type of illness that causes swollen lymph nodes. Some people have herpes, and when you have a herpes outbreak, you get very swollen lymph nodes in your groin. Some people get them so bad that they can't walk. So that could be a treatment for that as well. And herpes is a very common, even the mouth herpes, you can get swollen lymph node. You can use also for that. If you are needing to go to the bathroom, it's a laxative and gets rid of parasites, y'all. the bark. Use it. So do we have maybe COVID symptom? Maybe we could use the bark to use as instead of ivermectin, right? Which Artemisia, the plant is not in here, but Artemisia, the plant also known as wormwood, is basically ivermectin. So you can grow that and dry it up, take it in a capsule if you want, take it in a tea, make a tincture, whatever that you want. So the seeds for catalpa are used mostly for respiratory, but they can also be used as an astringent for rinsing out your wounds, or even like a mouthwash to keep your oral health in check. Lantana. Lantana is something that's found all over Texas. It grows like a weed, and that's a good thing, y'all, because these can be used so many different uses. The flowers you can use for tuberculosis. This is such a wide range of things, from tuberculosis to constipation, back to respiratory colds, all the way to urinary tract infection. That's what UTI, urinary tract infection. And I'm sorry I didn't spell that out. Leaves you can make for anti-tumor. So somebody who's growing tumors, whether they're benign or cancerous, what they do is starve the blood getting to the tumor. They're antibacterial. Expectorant, that's when I was saying that if you have a dry cough and you need to break up the mucus, well, guess what? Lantana help you break up the mucus so you can cough it out. And also, if you're messing around, like Hood have armadillos coming up to him, those carry leprosy. People don't know that, but they do. They carry leprosy. So let's say you had an armadillo jumping around, making its nest, collecting leaves and stuff like that in your campsite. Well, there he goes, spreading his leprosy. Well, now you got lantana for that. And the roots are for rheumatism and even fever. So even for children can have this as a tea. Rashes, toothache, flu, measles, mumps, malaria, the 3 M's. So next we're going to talk about teas, poultices, and tinctures. So with teas, you can dry the flowers, the stems, the leaves, roots, and you boil them. Can you use fresh herbs? You can for teas, but it's best to let them dry because for some reason they taste better and they seem to be more potent. Now, I don't know if that's because a lot of plants have like a oily substance to them. And so when it dries out, that kind of oily goes away and lets the water really get in there. So oil is hydrophilic, afraid of water. It blocks out water. So when it dries up, the water is able to enter and extract, right? So you'll need to research on your own when you find these things along the trail, because I know from now on, you guys are going to go and use Google Lens to identify plants that you don't know, right? So with poultices, you can get these nut milk bags, and I'll pass this around so you can look and see at the material. It's a lot like cheesecloth, which we have here also. So for poultices, you can crush and grind the flowers, leaves, stems, or roots. You can use castor oil, coconut oil, olive oil to help, like spread it around, or even water. If you don't have any of those things, let's see, you're out here, you can just use water, it's fine. So right here, I have some Jerusalem sage from my garden. Now, what I have found is that instead of cutting them, I don't know why, but it just works better when you tear them with your own fingers. For some reason, it just works better. So we'll do that just real quick. I don't know, is it because it's like kind of crushing as you're tearing, maybe? Now I have what's called a molcajete, right? So I'm gonna just pulverize this in here. But let's say you guys that we don't? Well, I have this rock, right? So I can use this to grind this up, okay? So let's pretend that I've pulverized this to the max. So I'm going to put it in that cheesecloth, add some oil or water, and I'll just apply it directly to the wound. Or if I'm having swelling, let's say I feel and twisted my arm and now I have swelling, right? I can just apply that right to wherever is swelling or where is painful. And moving on to tinctures. With tinctures, on the next page I go over what's the difference, why, benefits and pros and cons kind of thing. But for right now, for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So with tinctures, you have a 1:5 ratio. That confuses a lot of people. That means 1 part of the herb, 4 equal parts of, you really want to use like vodka. No, you cannot use isopropyl alcohol. You cannot use like rubbing alcohol. You want to use ingestible alcohol, okay? You can also use glycerin and gosh, what else was it? Vinegar, I believe. I think you can use vinegar. Well, I'll get there. For people who can't have alcohol, like breastfeeding mothers, and it's really such a small amount, even if you're breastfeeding or pregnant, really shouldn't affect you. But if your religious beliefs prevent you from ingesting anything like that, vinegar or glycerin will work. So 1:5. Now I don't have this measured out, so I'm just gonna kind of divide this by eye. Okay, I'm gonna put my pulverized herbs in there. Okay, that's about right. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to be, pretty close. Okay, that's right. Yes. Oh, for legal purposes, this is actually water, not just legal purposes. But just to be clear, I'm not breaking any laws. This is water. But in real life, yes, you would want to use something like vodka. Now, what do you do if you don't have vodka? There we go. But let's say you don't have, but you have potatoes, right? You can make your own, right? So you put it in there and you want to shake. Ideally, this would have been in a brown bottle, but that's okay because we're just doing it for demonstration. Shake it out for about 1 to 2 minutes, and then you want to put this away. Total time is going to be a few weeks, and then every other day or every few days, just come around and shake it up and let it sit, and then you will use the extract. You can take it directly from here, or you can strain this out into another bottle and use it. Now, let me just make sure okay. Oh yeah, so if let's say you used alcohol, you have a tincture that you have made, but you have a friend or family member who does not drink alcohol or cannot have it for, let's say they're allergic. There are people who are allergic. So you can take some of this tincture, put it in boiling water, and that will evaporate out the alcohol, and then they can drink it. Okay? Now, teas versus tinctures, what is the difference? Tinctures are usually stronger. They're self-preserving, broad range of extraction, meaning like doesn't matter if they have a lot of oils, if they're fresh herbs or dried, it doesn't matter. With tinctures, because of this alcohol, it's going to extract. And it seems to extract more than teas. And it lasts a lot longer. And as I said, you can use fresh herb all year round. You don't have to wait for drying. Teas, again, these are water-soluble herbs. You'll have to research that on your own. There are so many. It's so many for me to list. Now, the tea, once you make it, you got to keep it in the refrigerator or something. You want to keep it cold because it will last longer. Usually within a few days, you would want to, if you're making a tea, it's for an ailment, right? So you would want to have a lot of it. Tincture, because they're so strong, you don't have to take a lot. But with a tea, you will need to drink consistently throughout the day, this tea. And then last thing, and this is kind of a con of the tea, they rely on the digestive process. So you have to intake it let it go through your stomach and your intestines and your bloodstream before it starts working. The tincture, it's absorbed right away because of the alcohol. It goes right into your bloodstream. Now, lastly, these are a few books that I recommend, that I use and recommend on the last page. Okay. And that's it for demonstration, but I'm open to questions if anybody has any. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, so when you're doing teas, definitely the more that you can grind it up and chop it up, the more that's available, more surface area, right? That's available. For a tincture, yeah, just want to cut it up and let it to dry. You can leave the whole root to dry with a tea. You can split it in half, just to have it to let it dry faster. Yes. Anything else, anybody? Okay. Thank you for coming to my talk. Thank you.